How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today I'm going to show you some interesting things that I've seen around Taipei and Taiwan. Sometimes it just makes sense. Other times it just seems like new technology. This video is sponsored by the Moomoo trading app. You can get up to 20 free shares just for signing up and depositing various amounts of money. Check out my referral link down in the video description below. These things that I've mentioned is just interesting to me. I've been snapping pictures whenever I go, hey, you know, this is pretty clever. I take a picture and I'm gonna show it to you guys. This is not a channel t-shirt or anything. 鸡蛋糕, it means chicken egg cake. 4 of them for $10. These days, 4 of them is like $50. And one of the best ones is this gun-shaped one in the back over here. Tastes like waffle. The first one here is from Fujiya, which is a confectionery store that's based in Japan. When I bought a strawberry cheesecake and a cheesecake, they put a little cold packet in along with your cake. And I've seen this with other stores. Whenever you buy a cake, it seems like they do that a lot in Asia. You see a drain on the ground. These little rough spots along the top of this thing makes it so that it's, you know, gives you a little bit more traction and you won't slip as easily. Many of these drainage things, they cover it up with a rubber mat. I assume this is because people might accidentally drop something and it's gonna fall into the grate and you're gonna lose something. And it looks like it's removable, so if there's a lot of rain, they can go outside and pull that mat out and allow the water to flow through. Here's an interesting thing in Taiwan. It's an entryway to a park. Now, when you first look at this, it's like, what is this for? It's probably to prevent something from going inside. Normally, if you want to prevent everybody except people from going through, you would make it, you know, pretty narrow and people can walk through, but the bicycles cannot go through. Now, this one in particularly, it looks like you could just kind of lift your bicycle up and then go right through. So this is to prevent anything motorized from going through, because you can't lift the motorcycle up too high. It has to stay pretty level. So these handlebars is gonna hit these little squiggly lines. Here's an interesting one. You're not gonna think too much about this because it's a hand dryer, right? You stick your hands underneath, it's gonna blow air. It has like a little drip tray at the bottom. Any kind of drippings is gonna stay in that tray, and then any kind of residual air that flows through is gonna dry whatever is in that drip tray. Going from Kaohsiung back to Taipei, and I see a restroom, right? But then if you look at the center pillar, this is not the division between men and women's bathroom. If you go into the bathroom, the division, it's even more pronounced. It's kind of like right below that light on the left side there. That's where the men's bathroom stops. So you got about 2/3 of this entire place dedicated to women's bathroom and only about 1/3 to men's bathroom. Sort of makes sense, because then men and women, if you go in at the same time, maybe you can possibly come out at the same time. This is just a store in Taipei. These are betel nuts. Betel nut is kind of like an addictive thing that I'd say like a lot of truck drivers and a lot of older people have. This is something that you chew. They might add some kind of spices in it, and it has addictive properties, kind of like smoking cigarettes or whatnot. People chew it, they might add a little bit of tobacco in it, but it's not tobacco, it's like betel nut. So this is interesting. I thought I'd bring this up because I have no idea why people keep on selling these little packet thing about the size of a thumb. It's wrapped in some kind of leaf. They sell it everywhere, and you're like, what the heck is that, right? So now you know. Here is a lottery store, and there's so many of these stores around, and it's just dedicated to just buying lottery. They seem to not sell anything else, so I thought this is interesting to show that they have so many lottery stores in Taiwan. This is a cake container, a styrofoam cake container that is cylindrical, right? Most of the time they don't have dedicated styrofoam containers just so that you can carry your cake around. They probably put some of those cooler packets inside, you know, keep your cake nice and cold. I thought this was just really cool. I've never bought a cake in the States where they have a styrofoam protective thing like this, right? Most of the time it's just a paper box. It's a round cake in a square box. This is a utility building at night. But I thought this sign was super interesting because they have solar panels on top of this building, and then they put it right there to show everybody how much power they have generated in total, which is interesting. I don't know why they don't do this more often in the States. People don't want to stand around and direct traffic. If you got these robot mannequins that looks like it's kind of doing its thing, right? This is all they do. They like wave a flag up and down. There are these interesting knob things and some kind of channel that goes along the door. They have some kind of shield that you can slip into place to prevent flooding. This is inside an MRT where they look at this typhoon Nari that occurred in September 17, 2001. It went up to a height of 236 centimeters above the platform. So this is basically the entire subway, it's flooded. This is to remind people that, you know, what can happen if they don't have this preventive measure from having all the water go into the subway. I think now they have like a lot more protection, like the barriers to keep water from going in. Here's a time lapse of some traffic. Now, I want to direct your attention to right in the center. There are these cars waiting with these dotted line, right? So you can't actually turn left at that point, but then they tell them, okay, you go all the way up there. When there is a green arrow, then you can go. And also notice these little square boxes in front of the pedestrian walkway. These are actually for mopeds, and if you watch carefully, the motorcycle usually have to drive on the right side of the road. And so if you have to drive on the right side of the road, how do you turn left? If you ever want to turn left, it means you have to merge to the left side, but motorcycles are not allowed to do this. So instead, what they do is they just keep on going straight through the intersection, and then they kind of make a sharp right angle to face the correct way in this little box, and then they wait for the cross traffic to turn green, and then they can go. So in effect, they made a left turn that way. It's an electronic paper that is mounted for a bus sign. So it makes perfect sense. It's gonna display something. It doesn't have to update all that much often. But if you watch it for a while, the bottom third actually did not have to update. And this whole thing is solar powered. It's e-paper, so then it doesn't consume all that much electricity. Whenever you use e-paper, you actually have to illuminate it yourself. It's not like LED where it's shining a light out. All it's doing is kind of changing the angles of these pigments, and when they change it a certain way, it looks black. And if they align them all straight, right, you can't see them anymore because they're all facing straight, then it becomes white. But you have to shine a light on it. That's why you see on the outer perimeter there is a row of LED lights, and I assume the solar panel is charging some battery that would power the light at night. But during the day, you don't actually need the LED lights because you can just use the sunlight. It's just like e-paper. Next, this is in the building next to the Cylindrical. It's kind of like a technology building where you can buy a lot of consumer goods. And if you look at the elevator doors, you can like look at ads while you're waiting at the elevator, which is, you know, a nice way to sell you some stuff because you're gonna stare at the elevator door. On the elevator buttons, you see this very often as well. You got a piece of plastic over it. I assume this is for COVID purposes so they can sanitize all the buttons much more easily. This is a ramp in the subway station next to the stairs. Now, there's a little walkway on the right side for the person that is trying to push something up the ramp. I have not seen anyone actually use this just yet, even though I passed by it about 10 times. I believe this little channel on the right side is for you to put your two of your luggage wheels on there. So as you are pushing your luggage up this thing, it won't accidentally turn. This channel can be like you're pushing your bike up this channel so that, you know, it can stay straight. There is this ramp here on some stairs, and you can actually see someone using a U-bike. Most people just have to carry on their shoulders, right? But with this ramp, you can just push your bike up, which is a lot more convenient. They should really have this in more places. Here is the last interesting thing. This is like a conveyor belt system for an underground store. They can put stuff in this conveyor belt and it can go down it can go up as well. Otherwise, you have to, carry this stuff down the steps. I assume they don't have an elevator. That's why they need this little conveyor system thing. I don't see this very often in every single stairs, but sometimes they have this. If you guys found this video interesting, let me know. I'm gonna keep on taking pictures of random interesting things I find in Taiwan. Don't forget to give me a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.